We are going to, yeah, hello everyone. I believe I can be heard. Yeah, so if you can hear me, you can send a message in the chat section that you can hear me so I can proceed with what we have for today. So you can hear me. Right. One last thing is my screen. Is it visible? I mean, maybe internet connection and stuff because it's raining here. Yeah, if my screen is very clear, you can see the text as well. You can let me know so I proceed. Because I'm battling with internet connectivity here. So I want to know if my screen is clear. Alright, you can see everything. You can see the text which are being displayed here. If you can see that too, you can let me know so I proceed. Because the one person is saying it's clear, another person is also saying it's kind of blurry. Oh, how do I how do I tackle this? All right. Um, if it is blurred, then probably it's it's a little blurry. Wow. Okay, let me fix that as soon as possible. Then we can proceed. Yeah. So how is it now? How is it now? Is it okay? If it is okay, you can just let me know. Yes. So if it is blurry, you can change to 1080 HD, right? Yeah. So I believe it's good. Yeah, it's clear now. All right. So we can start with today's session. And thank you very much once again for joining today's live event. Today marks the third day for our virtual machine learning and AI training organized by the College Caucus of the SRC the KNST SRC Parliament in collaboration with GAD Academy and in partnership with Build It. Once again, my name is Godson Inchi. I'm the founder of Build It, a skill coach and a machine learning AI instructor. All right, so today we are going to continue from where we ended yesterday. And yesterday we did quite a couple of things in Python. Right, we were able to tackle some one or two concepts, and we ended here at operators. Right, yeah. So I would explain. I'll quickly walk you through this. Then we proceed with what we have for today, because we were supposed to tackle this yesterday, but because of time, we were not able to do that. All right. So amazing. That's okay. That's okay. Good. So just like how we have arithmetic operators in mathematics, in Python, we also have operators, right? And basically, you can see the definition here. Operators are symbols that perform operations on variables and values. And yesterday, I explained what a variable is to you. Let me add a cell here. I mentioned that I explained variable value assignment, right? So this is how you deal with that, right? Good. So yes, amazing. Good. So when I say x is equal to 23, the variable is x and the value is what? 23. Right? Now, operators, the definition we have here, we are saying that operators are symbols that perform operations on variables and values. So here we are going to cover the four different types of operators we have. The first one being arithmetic operators. That is for mathematical operations. We have comparison operators, logical operators, and assignment operators. Good. So good. So the arithmetic operators, we use it for normal mathematical calculations. The comparison operators, we use them to compare values. Logical operators, we use them to combine conditions. And assignment operators, we use them to assign and modify values. So we are going to take each operator and explain it vividly. Right. So the first one we are going to start with is arithmetic operators. And just like I said, arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical operations. So mathematical operation like addition, like division, multiplication, exponentiation, subtraction, these are all mathematical operations. Right? So we have in Python, we have specific operators we use to perform these mathematical operations. So let me define um some variables for us to use. So defining variables to perform some arithmetic operations. Good. So now let's define two variables. Let's say a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 3. Good. So 10 and 3, you know, they are integer variables, right? Good. Now we are going to use arithmetic operators to explain. So arithmetic operations. Good. Now first we want to add a and b. Now if you want to perform the addition operation, you use this. This is the symbol, this is the operator. Subtraction, this is the operator. Multiplication, you use asterisk for multiplication. Now you use the forward slash for division. Yes, you use it for division, the normal division, right? But then the forward slash returns a float. I'll explain that And we have another, so we have two types of divisions here. We have one division that returns a float and another division that returns an integer. I would explain that to you, don't worry. And we have modulus. So the percentage sign is used for modulus. You remember back in senior high school, you were being taught what, yes, you were being taught what modulus is. Modulus returns a reminder. Sorry, it returns a remainder. Yes, when you have you have two you have two values, you divide. Yes, the remainder is what we are talking about. Yes, an exponentiation. Let's say you want to do 2 exponent 3. You use double asterisks. So you would have to know these operators for you to perform that. Right? So let's say we want to add. So let's use the variable name addition. Addition. When I want to add 10 and 3, I would use their variable. So A plus B. Now when I print addition, I'll get the final output, which is 13. Good. Now let's say I want to also do subtraction. So subtraction is equal to subtraction is equal to, we have light out here, so I'm not even seeing the keyboard. All right. So subtraction is equal to A minus B. Right. So when I print subtraction, you realize that you would get the output of what? 7. Once again, when you want to run the cell, use shift enter. You can see it in the screen tip here. Shift plus enter to run the cell. Good. Now, same thing happens for multiplication. I believe you guys, you all understand multiplication, so it would work for you, right? You can try it out. Now, division. Now, I would explain these two difference. Now, you know, actually, when I divide 10 and 3, what am I going to get? So let's say the first, so let's use division. Division is equal to A forward slash B. Print division. Now, the answer you get is what? 3.3333, blah, blah, blah. Good. Now, what happens is that when you use this, it returns a float. So even if you have, let's say x is equal to 4 and y is equal to 2, when you print, so let me print x divided by y. Now you realize that it also returned a float, right? Because I said floats returns a float here. So float is more like decimal point number. You get it? So ideally, if you are to analyze it, you know that when you divide it, it will give me 2. But then the forward division returns a float. That is why you can see 2.0 here. Good. Now, the other one, which is called a floor division, that one use 2 of the forward slash. So that one returns an integer. So when you do this, please don't copy and paste codes. Try and type it yourself. For the sake of time, that is why I'm doing that. When I do double of this, realize that I get 2. I get an integer. So this one returns an integer, which is what? A whole number. A whole number. Good. So that is what the floor division will do. This is called floor division. Right. So let's say you have the same thing. The A was equal to 10, B was equal to 3. Now when you use the first division, the normal division, you get this. But then let's try and use floor division and see something. Let me copy this and paste it here. Let me use floor division. Now, when you use floor division, realize that it would only return the integer. It will remove all the float. It will remove all the floating point numbers, the decimal point numbers, right? And would only return an integer. So that is the difference between the two divisions. Okay, now what if we have a value like let's say 5. Let's say 5 and 2. When you do that, you are still going to get what? 2. But actually, when you use the single one, you get what? 2.5. Right? So that's the difference. Good. Now we have exponentiation. You can try it out. When you want 2 exponent 3, you know 2 exponent 3 is equal to 8. All right, so let's try it out. Print 2 exponent is double asterisk, so 2 exponent 3. You get 8, right? That's exponentials, right? You can also try modulus, right? So 3. So let's say I want to know the modulus of this. So let's say x is equal to 20 and y is equal to 3. Ideally, when I divide 20 by 3, let's try and do that. Print x divided by y. I'm going to get 6.66666 blah 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 7. Right now, when I want to know the modulus is more like when I divide 20 by 3. Floor division, I'm supposed to get 6, right? That is floor division without the decimal point numbers. When you multiply 6, and 3, that is the y, you get 18. Now, when you take 18 from 20, what do you get? When you take 18 from 20 minus 18, you get what? 2. So it means that x modulus y, the answer will be 2, because when I divide 20 by 3, the actual whole number is 6. Remember what? 2. So let's try it out. Use the percentage sign. You get that. So x modulus y is equal to 2. And I've proved it here for you. Good. So that ends the concept of arithmetic operations. Now we also have the yes, so just like how we have board mass, I forgot to add this. Just like how we have board mass in mathematics, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, where they all have precedence. Yes, same happens in Python. So Python evaluates operators in this order. So this is the order. So you can get to know that. I believe you all understand board mass, right? Yeah, you know brackets. When you have a question to work on and you have brackets, you solve it first, followed by of, then division, like that. So same thing happens here. So you have to know how to use that. All right, good. So this one is a concept that you've learned before, but the only thing that is changing is that this is the new order when it comes to Python programming. This is the new order. So I'll give you a test to know if you guys can actually apply that. Yes, if you guys can actually apply that. But then if you can't, I'll check that and explain that in another video for you. Right, but this is a very basic explanation, right? Good. Now we have comparison operators. We have comparison operators too. Now, comparison operators, this compare two values and return a boolean. Yesterday I told you that a boolean value is either a true or false value. Good. Now, in comparison operators, we have equal. Please note that there is a difference between this equal this equal to, and the one we use here. This one is called variable assignment. I explained variable assignment yesterday. Where is it? Where is it? Variable assignment. I explained, yes, variable assignment. Use the equal to operator to assign a value to a variable. Yes. But then when you want to actually use the equal to sign in Python, it is you use two of the equal to sign. So double of it. And this is actually the equal to sign when it comes to Python programming. And it is a comparison operator. I will explain very soon. Now, this is for not equal to. This, as usual, greater than, this one is less than, greater than or equal. So you just use the greater than operator and then the equal operator. That is, use just one of it, right? Good. Now, let's look at an example. Let's look at an example. Now we are saying that the comparison operators compare two values and return a boolean. So let's try it out. Let's say x is equal to 15 and y is equal to 10. And y is equal to 10. Now we want to see if they are equal. So print x double equal to y. Now when you check 15 and 10, are they equal? No, they are not equal, so it will return false. So this double equal to sign is a comparison operator. It will compare the two values and see if they are equal. Simple as that. Now, if you want to see, let's use not equal to, exclamation and the equal to sign. Good. X and y, are they equal? No, they are not equal. So when I run this, it will return true because x and y are not equal. X and y are not equal. Same thing happens here when you want to know if x, when you use greater than. Now, once again, comparison operators, they compare two values and return a boolean. Now, is x greater than y? Yes, x is greater than y, so it will return true. Good. Now let's try less than. Is x less than y? No, x is not less than y, so it will return false. Good. Now let's try greater than or equal to. Is x greater than or equal to y? Yes, so it will return true. Is x less than or equal to y? No, so it will return false. Now if I replace x to be 10 and I use greater than, what do you think will be the output? Is x greater than y? No, they are equal. But then I'm using greater than or equal to, so it would return true because I have two operations here, greater than or equal. What about less than or equal? Same thing, because even though it's not less than, they are what? Equal. So this is what you use comparison operators for. So the double equal to sign is a comparison operator. It's a comparison operator. Let's note that. Good. Now the next one is Boolean values. So Boolean values and logical operators. Boolean values and logical operators. So Boolean values, comparison operators return true or false, which are Boolean values. I've already explained that. Now it will get to a point where we'll start writing conditional statements. Yes, and that is when we would appreciate Boolean values a lot. But for now, let's just move on with the basics. We have logical operators too. We have logical operators. Logical operators. Now this one would be a bit confusing. So please, let's pay attention very well. Let's try and pay attention very well. Logical operators. Now you quite remember back in senior high school, integrated science, we were being taught logic gates. and or not. Yes, and sometimes we have conditions where we would have to compare two things. Now, one could be true, the other could be false, or both of them could be true, or both of them could be false. So we use this logical operators to compare those two conditions and return only one answer, which is a Boolean value. So, and this one. So, and is a Python keyword, or is a Python keyword, not is a Python keyword. Now, and returns true if both operands are true. Now, operands here is more like the two conditions, right? Good. Now, or returns true if at least one operand is true. So, and would only return true if both conditions are true. If one is false, and would not return true. That is the condition. Or when it comes to or, the logical operator or, it would return true if at least one operand is true. So here we have false and we have true. So at least one of them is true. So it would return what? True. Now, not is a logical operator that would invert either true or false to. So if you have true, it would invert it to false. If you have false, it would invert it to true. That is what it does. So let's try and use an example. Let's try and use an example to explain. Let's say we have age to be equal to 20. Now, you know that in Ghana, the legal age is 18. So if you are 18 years and above, you are eligible to have an ID. So let's use this analysis to come up with an example, right? So age is equal to 20, has ID. So has ID is equal to, let's set this to be equal to true. Because if you are 20 years, you are able to have an ID, right? Whether it's national ID, yes. So has ID, true, good. Now let's make use of logical operations. Let's make use of logical operations, just like what we did for arithmetic operations. Now, I mentioned that and would return true if both operands are true. Now we are going to do something interesting here. Print. So let's do our print function. Good. Now, operands are more like, I mentioned something like two conditions, two different conditions. So let's state the first condition. If the age is greater than or equal to 18 and has ID, what do you think will be the output? Now you see, as soon as you put and between two operands, you are comparing them. This alone is a full condition on its own. This is another condition on its own. This is a condition which says that age should be greater than or equal to 18. Now, is the age greater than or equal to 18? Yes. Yes. So let me put a comment here. So this operand is true because the age is greater than or equal to 18 because the actual value is what? 20. Now, has ID is also another condition, and then it was set to what? True here. Good. So because both operands or both conditions are true, when we print this, the output will be what? True. But let's say we set age to be equal to 4. This now becomes false because age is not greater than or equal to. Age is not greater than or equal to 40. So when you use and, it will not return true, it will return false. Because the only condition is that and would return true if both operands are true. So because we have one false condition here, the output would be false. That is how it works. Now let's look at another example. Let's look at another example using the OR operator. If at least one operand is true, the OR operator would return answer which is what? True. Let's try it out. So we can use this same example. Please don't copy and paste code. I'm doing this for the purpose of time because we don't have time. Right now, if I want this output, let me put a comment here. If we want the output to be true, we have to use the OR operator. Because look at something. The age here has been set to what? To what? 4. Now this age variable, we are having a condition here. Is the age variable greater than or equal to 18? No. So it is false. But then this condition has ID is what? True. So when you compare them, because you are using the OR operator, the OR operator says that it will return true if at least one of the operand is true. So because we have at least one true here, when we print it, the output will be true. That is how this logical operator works. As simple as that. Now let's try the not operator. The not operator is very simple. So let's say has ID, once again, has ID is equal to true. If I print, let's say let's use a new variable called confirmation, and I put not in front of has ID. What happens is that this has ID is a condition. It was set to true. So if I put not in front, it would invert it. So when I print confirmation, the output will be what? False. Because I've negated this condition. That is what the not operator does. So let's say I put this to false and I put not in front of it. Not would invert this false to what? True. So when I print this, I'll get what? My output to be true. So that is what logical operators do. Now, we are going to use this, we are going to really appreciate this a lot when we get to conditional statement. So once again, just understand the logic behind this and you are good to go. All right, now the next thing is assignment operators. Now, when we started with the tutorial, the most frequent assignment operator I was using was the equal to sign, which I explained here when I was explaining variable assignments. Use the equal to operator to assign a value to a variable. But then there are more assignment operators you can use. Right? We have the normal one which we have been using. We have add and assign, and we have subtract and assign. So let me explain this in detail to you. Assuming we have a variable called total, which is equal to 100. So this is the initial value. Now, I want to get an output. So let me put this here. I want to get an output of 120. Now, you know, ideally, you can set another variable and assign the value 20 to it and add it. But then there's a more simple way to handle it. There's a more simple way to kind of do this without writing a lot of code. You see, because of time and because you want to write a cleaner code, you can use this add and assign to make look very simple. Now, if you want to do this, you can actually do, let me put it in a comment. So add 20 to total. So let me make it more conversational. So adding 20 to total. Now, actually I can do it. Total is equal to total plus 20. When I print, I'll explain, don't worry. When I print total, the output will be 120. Now, there's something we call override. There's something we call override. Oh, let me explain that thing to you guys, because I think I didn't mention that. Now, if I set x to be equal to 10, and I print x, the output will be 10. We all know that. But then when I go, you see, yesterday I mentioned that Python is an interpreter language. So if it executes the code line by line, so if I go on and I create another cell and I set x to be equal to 23, when I print x, the new value for x will be 23, not 10, because you now override this value, this variable. It now overrides it. So the new value will be 23, not 10. So later on in your code, when you call the value of x, it will be 23, not 10. It would work with the most recent value. That's what I mean by override, or overriding a variable. So same thing happens here. You know that I want to get an output of 120. Good. Now, actually I can use x. I can put maybe final total. When I do final total and I do total plus 20, you know total here was set to what? 100. So it will add 120. So let's print final total. Sorry. Final underscore total. The output will be what? 120. But then there's a more simple way to handle this. Now, once again, let's say total is 100. And when you do total is equal to total plus 100, sorry, plus 20, you know that actually this total is what? 100. Now, when you add 20 to this 100, you get 120. So now the 120 will now override. So when you print total, this has now been set to what? This new total has now been set to 120. So when you print total, you are going to get 120. You will not get 100. But for us to do this in a more cleaner way and more practical way, you can just use the add and assign. So instead of you writing this, you repeating this total variable again, you can just use plus equal to. And when you do that, you are going to get the same 120. So this means, this plus equal to actually means, let me put it in comments. This actually means total is equal to total plus 20. So because you don't want to repeat this total, you just use plus equal to, and you are good to go. So if you want to subtract, what do you do? So add and assign. So when you want to subtract, what you can just do is total minus equal to 20. Now, what do you think will be the output? Let me hear in the comments section. This, I don't have to pause anything, or because it's a live event and I'm ahead of you, so definitely someone can provide an answer before I would actually say it. Yeah. So now note that I mentioned override. Value for total is 120 because that is the most recent one. So if I do total minus equal to 20, what I'm doing is what? Subtract and assign. So it would subtract 20 from the most recent. Good. Someone answered it. Also a champion answered it. Good. 100. The value will be 100 because the new value for total is 120, not 100. So when I subtract and assign 20 from total, the final answer would be 100. So Richard Yeboah, kindly get it well. It wouldn't be 80 because it would override it to the more recent value. So that is what add and assign and subtract and assign does. Right. So we are moving on to the final section. Yes. So shorthand for operations. Total plus equal to 20 is equivalent to total plus 20. Yes. So it saves typing and makes code more concise. So that's the reason why we do that. Right now, we have type conversion. Yesterday, I explained the type function to you guys. I explained the type function to you guys. The type function to you guys. Where is it? Where is it? Let me see if I can get it here for you. Yes, I explained the type function to you guys, and I said the type function returns the data type of a variable. So let's say I have x to be equal to 45. You know this is an integer, right? So integer value. Now when I do type of x and I run it, you get what? Int, which shows that the value is an integer. Now there are instances where you would want to convert maybe a string to an integer, or let's say an integer to a float. So you use type conversion to do that. Right, good. So yesterday I gave an example. That when you have a table, right? Let's say Google Sheets. Let me open Google Sheet and use that to explain. Yesterday I gave this example. Let me see if I can still record that. Good. Now you see this 7 is at the left side, but this 7 is at the right side. Now actually when you put apostrophe in front of, let's say, a text or a value, spreadsheet, or let's say Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel would analyze it as a text. That is why you see it at the left side. So when I type good, you see it at the left side. So this one is also a text. But then when it is a figure, when you just type it raw like that, it will be at the right side. Right? So let's say 23, it will be at the right side. So sometimes you can get a data frame and you would see numbers, but then actually it was written in the form of a text. So you'd have to convert the text into a number. Same thing happens here. That is the same analysis we are trying to pull off here. So when you have a string, you can convert it into an integer. So let's use an example to explain that. Let's look at this string. Convert 123 to string. So str, because that is the short form for string. So when you want to convert, you use their functions. So when you want to convert anything into an integer, use the integer function. So int open and close brackets, float open and close brackets for the float function, str open and close brackets for the string function. When you want to convert, let's say 5, let me make it more practical. Let's say num. Let's use num as the variable name. So num is equal to 5. When I want to convert this number to string, I'll use the string function. So when I convert this, it will now become what? A string. So you can now see it in quotes. I told you that strings are either in single or double quotes. right? So you now see that it's a string. So when you print the type, let me wrap it around it. So type, let me do that here. Type of num. Now look at something. This one is just an operation, so it will not override it. But then when you check the type of num here, you realize that actually is an integer. Let me put it here. Integer value. You get it? But then when I wrap it, when I wrap it around this one rather, the type function around this one rather, you realize that it will return a string because I in this function I converted a number to a string, so definitely it has to return what? A string. So that is how we do that. So in a case where you have let's say string number, let's use this variable name, and you have 23. So this, you know, this because you've placed it in quotes, it's actually a string. Good. So when I print string num, what do I get? I get 23. So sometimes when you look at when you are coding and you look at it, you feel like I'm seeing 23, so it's a number. But then when you check the type, when you check the when you check the type of string num, you realize that it is a string, not a number. So in a case like this, you would want to convert the string into what? An integer. So for you to convert something into an integer, so convert to integer, use the int function. So I would now wrap. Hey, why is my code here good? So if I want to convert string num into an integer, I'll use the int function. Right now, what do I want to convert into an integer? I want to convert string num, which is storing this string, into an integer. So it is now what? 23. It is still 23, but this time around, it is what? Let me wrap it around the type function so that you guys will get to see it. Oh, the type is not defined. Oh, I made a typo. Yes, so let's run this. You now see that it is what? An integer. So that is how we convert an a string into an integer. So later on in our code, if we are to analyze something like this and we realize that, oh, the 7, we were trying to do an arithmetic operation on it. We wanted to add different columns, but then we realized that it was in the form of a string. So what we'll do is that we'll convert that into an integer and we can now add and get a value. All right, good. So that is one application of that. And the last one is when I have an integer, let's say x is equal to 45. You know that this is an integer value, right? But I want to convert it into a float. So if you want to convert it into a float, you just use the float function, right? So this is the float function. What do I want to convert into a float? I want to convert x into a float. So when you do that, you now see 45.0. You can now see the floating point number. So this is how we also do that, right? So this is what we mean by type conversions. You can either convert a string to an integer, you can convert a float into an integer, or any of them, right? Good. Now, that is what we have for introduction to Python. We were supposed to complete this yesterday, right? Good. So next time on our meeting, today we are supposed to have a very short meeting so that you guys would get ample time to set up your. Some people are struggling to set up Jupyter Notebook. So please, I sent some resources on the page, the WhatsApp platform. So you can download Anaconda so that you can get access to Jupyter Notebook. So we are done with intro to Python programming. Next time on our meeting, we are going to look at introduction to strings and input function. So although I've explained what a string is, we are going to dive deeper into it. Right, good. So that will be all for today. today was a very, very short session, and I believe that you guys can go back and learn what we have, right? You can go back and learn what we did today. Yes, so that will be all for today. Next time on our meeting, we are going to have a very interesting meeting because we are going to do more practical things, right? We are going to do more practical things. So let me quickly answer. Let me quickly answer some one or two questions in the comment section. Then we move on. Someone is saying, I know there is a programming language which has greater than equal to as not equal to. Okay. Could you please try that? Am I getting the question right? Okay, let me get it again. Okay. So Victor is asking, I know there's a programming language which has greater than equal to as not equal to. Greater than, less than, as not equal to. Can you please try that for verification? Oh, okay. So we are actually doing Python, right? And Python, the syntax when you want to use not equal to, you use exclamation and the equal to sign. But then there are different programming languages like SQL, Visual Basic, and Pascal, which uses greater than and less than as not equal to. So if we use that here, it wouldn't work because that is not a Python syntax, right? Yeah, so I believe I've answered your question. And please, for the floor division, it doesn't run the number. Like if you have 5.9, it will return, it will still display. Yes, yes, yes. That is what floor division does. Floor division will remove all the decimal point numbers, right? So that is what floor division does. And someone is also saying, does anyone know where the uploaded files are stored after each session? The uploaded files after each session are uploaded. Yes. So GAD created a Telegram bot where he's uploading the files. So I don't know if GAD is active on this event. He can just share. He can just share the link here so you guys can tap into that. And someone is saying, how do I join the WhatsApp platform? Let me see if I can quickly copy the link. Let me see if I can quickly copy the link and share with you. Yes. So if you have any question, you can ask so I respond. And so you guys would have to take your time, right? Once after I'm done with every session, I share the Jupyter notebook with you with comments. The comments are explanatory. So you guys would have to kind of go through them and yes. And even in Jupyter notebook, there is this new feature where you can add comments to the code. I think it's this one. Let me see the screen thing. Yeah, so when you click on this, it's more like an AI assistant. So explain the selected code. So it would be able to do that for you. That's when you have an Anaconda account. Yes. So if you have an Anaconda account, you can sign in and you get access to that. Right. Yeah. So this one you just have to sign in, you get access to that as well. Right. So I don't know if God can share the link so Andreas can get access to the WhatsApp platform. Yes. Okay. Okay. Let me share my contacts so that Andreas will be able to text me. Okay, Andreas, kindly text me here. I'm using my other account too. 050-558-0019. Yeah, Andreas, my other account is the code assassin. So you can use that to text me. I'll send you the link. Please, when you text me, please be specific, right? Say I'm Andreas. I commented on the live event to on how to join the WhatsApp platform. So I just sent you the link. Yeah, so that will be all for today. I look forward to explaining more advanced concepts to you guys. So this is just the basics. Please do well to get the basics, because if you don't have the basics, you struggle to understand the advanced topics. Right. So please, let's do well to get this right, and we are good to go. Thank you very much for participating in today's lesson. Have a nice day.